Hi, Clyde Lindman here. This is in response to a query by Alexandra Music on VI forums, but it also ties into work we're doing on the Acoustica forums concerning orchestra work and working with VSTIs and stuff like that. So I've brought up my virtual soundstage in a project that I'm working on. It's still pretty early days, and you can see if I'm able to zoom in later on, that I've done kind of what's considered now a non-traditional panning. Actually, this is pretty much the orchestra as Karajan had it in the late 50s and early 60s, and in my opinion gives the most homogeneous sound throughout the instruments, and also ties everything together better. The biggest difference is that the horns are over here as opposed to over here. I was privy to the time that this was introduced into North America, and apparently it was a Decca engineer that decided that the horns on the Chicago Symphony Mahler 5 and Mahler 6 recordings with Schulte would be more interesting over on that side of the orchestra. And because they did it, everybody else has pretty much adopted it. And I have to tell you, as a horn player, we hate it because we're supposed to be the glue that ties the orchestra together. That means the principal horn has to have contact, direct contact, oral contact with principal trumpet, principal trombone, the principal winds, principal cello, especially principal viola and principal violins. When you sit them over here, there's some space between all of that, and we're sitting at the back of a violin section with whom we don't play. Also, the trumpets and brass over in this are constantly working against the strings over here, so that there's a constant balancing problem that conductors have to do, and violinists whine that the brass are too loud and overbalancing and everything. When you move the brass over here, you put the soprano voices with the soprano voices. I know there's been some comments against that, but in my opinion, it works the best, so that the trumpets, in fact, reinforce what's going on in the violins when they're in unison with them, and also with the high winds. The woodwind players don't like it because the trumpets are blowing into the back of her head, but anybody who has the trumpets blowing into the back of her head complain. So that's just life. Now, if you look down on the strings here, I've been experimenting with something. I just did it so far with the cello and the basses, in that I'm orientating the direct sound, the little arrows there, to orient with the position of the F holes. And I was wondering why cellos and bass in virtual instruments always sound so harsh. And this is one of the reasons when I turned it, I found a big difference. Of course, the violins are heading out there. I haven't changed the second violins or violas so that their F holes are going that way and that way. And we'll see how that works out later on. So anyway, I put the percussion here. Timpani's in the center and the back. The timpani player always loves to be in the center and the back. When Karajan originally did this, he had the horns sitting in tandem, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of hard to do with here. I may do that later on. I haven't decided yet. Same thing with the cello, with the F holes moving over there, rather than having a wide width of the sound projection. I might add another instance of cello there projecting the same position. But anyway, that's how I have my orchestra set up. I'm going to play a little bit from the beginning. Remember, this is early days. I haven't even started. This is a little concertino for piano using Sample Tech Black Grand Mark II. And it's early days, very little balancing, and very little mastering has been done yet. I haven't even started on the third movement to this. But here's just a few segments so you can hear what it sounds like. Just stop it for a second. You notice I've moved the solo piano back. I'm doing it in 2 tracks mainly because of my lack of expertise as a pianist. But I had it out here and it was just dominated the sonority too much. So by moving it back, I was able to get it to sit in the orchestra approximately where I want it. Anyway, that pretty much sums up my position on orchestra panning. I'm gonna just move back and bring up our virtual soundstage one more time, just so you can have one more look at it. There we go. So again, in a studio situation, you can do pretty much whatever you damn well please. But when you come into a real orchestra situation, you have to remember that the musicians actually have to hear each other. So when you're doing your setup, think about that. Anyway, that's it for today. Clyde out.